Welcome to another episode of the Two Act Podcast. I'm your co host, Adi, and as always, I'm joined with gothjon. And this week's episode is a very special episode because we're doing a double bill feature review on two horror movies that I'm really excited to talk about that have taken the box office and the zeitgeist by storm. We'll be discussing Obsession, directed by Curry Barker, and Backrooms, directed by Kane Parsons. Both these movies have made history respectively, not just because they're indie movies that have made really good earnings in the box office, but also because of other reasons of seeing how fresh storytelling has sort of broken through the roof. These are both young filmmakers in their 20s. Curry Barker's 26, Kane Parsons just turned 21, and it's quite a moment for horror movie fans. And yeah, John, are you excited to get into both these movies?
Yeah, absolutely. This will be my first double feature in the theater. I've, sat at home and watched two movies in a row, but never gone to the theater and did that. It was very interesting. Being that these are both YouTube creators that made these, help make these films is
Yep.
kind of astounding. I'm excited to see a lot of fresh new movies come out in the theaters and not see, Insidious 15 or Annabelle 52 or even something that I enjoy like Saw 12 or Jason reimagined with a different actor that isn't the original guy or non Robert England Freddy Krueger or the old man Doug Bradley, not Pinhead, although that one was actually pretty good.
Yeah. No. I think it's refreshing for sure. What I want to talk about before we dive into both these films and review them is the first thing is that there's this notion that theatrical, there's a theatrical decline when it comes to movie theaters and, the quality and definitely the quality of movies, I think has certainly declined in the last decade to some respect, especially when it comes to popular IP content that keeps coming out. And I think for years, the industry narrative was insisting that theaters are dying and that Gen Z audiences would only watch content on their smartphones or streaming platforms. And it's really a pleasant surprise to see both these movies, Obsession and Backrooms, completely upend this because there's a massive youth turnout for both these movies of audiences under the age of 35, and the word of mouth, it just went viral for both these films. And it's interesting because Obsession came out, I think, a couple of weeks before Backrooms, and it's already made 400 times its budget. Like it had just a micro budget of $750,000, which is insane. Like under a million, basically, is it's kind of unheard of. Like for a movie now,
It doesn't even look it.
it doesn't even look like. Yeah, exactly. It does not look like a $750,000 movie at all, and it's already grossed over 300 million worldwide, which is insane. It's become one of the most profitable movie of all time, arguably. And then you've got franchise fatigue. I think we both can agree that there's been a lot of IP fatigue and franchise fatigue and stuff like that. Endless amount of sequels and remakes and all the shared universes and all that stuff.
Hey, I'm just happy Paranormal Activity isn't getting a sequel anytime soon. Like non-movies becoming movies because people are staring at their phones and not watching it because nothing happens.
It's funny because Paranormal Activity was one of those viral hits, wasn't it? Because it was like that and the Blair Witch film
Well,
that
Blair
came out
Witch Project way before that though. And
way
that was like
before.
an
Yeah.
original like found footage film where it was pre-internet, so everyone was very concerned that it happened in real life and there's actually a snuff film.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy. And to see that influence in these films to some extent, even though now they may have, watered down the movies into franchises, but you can see the influence in both these films and the way they've been made. And I think that what's refreshing about them is A, you're giving new creatives or younger creatives the opportunity to tell their stories, and B, you look at the economic model. Like both these films are arguably on the well, Obsession definitely is a micro budget. Backrooms is made for a budget of 10 million. But to see like, you know, smaller budget films do so well and have such an incredible astronomical return on investment. I mean, I just hope like this is something that I've been kind of observing for many years now is like there's been a death of the mid-budget movie. We've always had like ever since the whole superhero stuff blew up, there's been always an emphasis on like making movies for an insane amount of budget, like $200 million or something like that, and that would mean it would have
Need
to
to
make an
make,
insane
yeah.
600-700 million in order to break even, which is ridiculous, right? Well, you can either make like for a budget of 100 million, you could finance maybe 5 movies or like 10 movies, and see what they can do if they've been given a bit of a. I mean, there is a risk factor, of course. I mean, it's kind of insane that Backrooms is made by a teenager, who just turned 21. He was 16 when he first developed it, and
The
I think he
interviews
was
with
only
him are
18.
really funny. He
Yeah.
does not give a fuck.
No, no, no. And it's so refreshing to see that confidence, to see both the filmmakers. I respectively watch both of them. I know Curry Barker started a lot earlier. I think he had a YouTube channel and since 2014 or something like that. He even had like a short film out, but he didn't really have a film out. This is his first theatrical debut. So it's just I just wanted to touch upon these things and say like it's really promising to see this, and it's not a surprise by any means to see how well both these films have been doing. I think I was hyping up Obsession to you quite a while before it came out,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
and I think you felt, looking at the Blumhouse title, you
Oh
weren't
yeah. That always makes me scared. Like not scared in a good way, because some of the most terrible movies I've ever seen in the horror genre have been the Blumhouse at the front of it, and I'm just like, ah. It's kind of like M. Night seeing his name. You're just like, this is gonna have a
you know
great
what
premise, but the
you know what to
execution is
expect.
exactly the execution isn't gonna be there.
No, no, but it's somehow this almost feels like an anomaly for this movie to like exist. There's some other records we'll go into, but let me get into a synopsis. We'll do Obsession first.
Okay.
So this movie stars Michael Johnston as Bear, who has feelings for his childhood friend Nikki, played by Indy Navarrete, as they work together with their friends Ian and Sarah at a music store. And one day, Bear is shopping for a gift for Nikki, and he stumbles upon something called a One Wish Willow, which at first glance looks like a novelty gag toy that supposedly grants you a wish. And after a trivia night, he drops Nikki off to her house and is completely unable to admit his feelings for her. And out of frustration, he uses the One Wish Willow to wish that Nikki would love him more than anything in the fucking world. And then this movie becomes this kind of classic be careful what you wish for horror movie, as Nikki becomes increasingly unhinged with her behavior in her, quote unquote obsession with Bear. And the one thing that I wasn't really expecting that really caught me off guard, and maybe the scariest part of the movie, is when you see or hear the glimpses of real Nikki crack through.
Right.
Really upsetting. But first impressions,
Spoilers.
John. Spoilers,
Uh
spoilers. Yeah. First
yeah.
impressions.
Spoilers for this whole pod. It's really hard to talk about these films without spoiling the shit out of them. Yeah, my first impressions of Obsession are it's really the worst date movie to bring your long-term codependent girlfriend to. Just imagining the fight that happened in the car ride would be legendary. I myself, I'm in a 4-year relationship with my girlfriend, and at times we can be codependent, and it definitely is like turned up to like 11, obviously in this film, because some of the stuff is batshit crazy, is what it is.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the thing that really caught me off guard was like I knew this is going to be a horror movie, but still, like I wasn't expecting it to be so mean and evil.
Right.
Like that shit really upset me. There's certain things in the film that really
Like his
disturbed me.
cat dying in the beginning, that disturbed me. You know,
Oh
as a
yeah.
cat owner and lover, it's probably the saddest death in the film. Just overdosing on some medication that the cat shouldn't been able to get into. You know, every pet owner's worst fear.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a pretty shocking way to start the movie to begin with. It got me wondering, like, what the hell is this guy even doing? Like, keeping his drugs all over the place, where his
Right.
cat could. Like, I don't know I don't know how do you like justify that or like how you explain it, but
Right.
it's an extremely disturbing and upsetting scene to see that happen. But that's like one of many upsetting or disturbing scenes in the movie. What's fascinating about this is like, you know, the concept of this film isn't very novel. A lot of horror movies have done this. Be careful what you wish for.
Wish
This
upon.
monkey's paw kind of thing. I haven't watched Wish Upon, but I remember you told
Oh,
me about
if
it.
you get higher drunk, great movie. You'll be quoting it. So I made my girlfriend watch Wish Upon, and she was a little high, so I was like, "We're watching this." Because I know it's like notoriously so bad it's good. And like some of the dialogue in that film is so like over the top, like a 50-year-old man wrote dialogue for 20-year-olds. And there's like, your dad's hot like sriracha, like stuff like that. And which I'm happy that Obsession didn't have. Like the writing is a lot better than that. It definitely is very higher degree than what I expect out of a film that comes out of Blumhouse.
Yeah, certainly. It's just it just feels like a cut above the usual sort of films you expect
Right.
with
The sh
Blumhouse.
the
Um,
shovelware horror films that have generic names.
yeah, they do, and it's kind of like a lot of it. I think comes down to the director Curry Barker,
Mhm,
because I think the fact that he pretty much he wrote and directed the movie, and I think like you can see like how much of his own imprint is in this film, just like the other movie we'll be reviewing.
mhm,
But I think it's like a lot of what carries this movie for me, besides the confidence in the direction with its limited scale and budget, is the performances. Particularly one performance that I thought really pretty much carried the whole movie, which is Indy Navarrete as Nikki. I thought she was freaking phenomenal in this
yeah,
film. Like,
yeah, she's doing her best Mia Goth impression, and I really appreciate that because, you know, we both saw the X Pearl trilogy, and I kinda like that frame where you see her, like, smiling and, like, she's crying. Like, that
yeah,
was, like, the same type of energy, and I really appreciated that.
yeah, it was. But what I liked about it was like, even though it didn't feel like a mimicry. It didn't feel like it was trying to imitate or draw from another performance like that. It still felt very original. And these are not by any means like A-list actors. They're
Right.
like, you
Well,
know,
other than Andy Richter,
yeah, who shows up for like
Conan's,
he has a pretty
like,
cool.
buddy.
I really liked his cameo in the movie. I thought it
Yeah,
was
no,
like
I
one of
plugged
the
him right away 'cause I know, a lot of stand-up stuff.
yeah. Yeah, no, his cameo is great. Like he had like some of the funniest shit when he's like, "Oh, don't bring that energy. We don't sell that here." And then he's like, "I'm kidding. It's right there."
Right.
Which if you watch the film, you'll know what we're talking about. But the way the movie begins, what were your thoughts on Bear and
Oh my
played
god.
by Michael Johnston?
So, Bear kinda reminds me of myself as a young man. You know, Bear is such an incel that it hurts. As a reformed incel, you know, it can definitely relate. And you, like, watch him try to, like, make this cursed, quote, unquote, "relationship" work, and he's completely in denial that she isn't in love with him, especially when, like, her character breaks out. And yes, it is easy to hate Bear, And I'm really happy that they didn't write his character in a way that, you know, tries to like redeem him or like make him like a character you can relate with more.
Yeah, in fact, one of the many things that came out, I think I told you
Hmm.
about it privately, was like I think Cory Barker, the director, was offered. I think there was a studio that was willing to offer him like 2 million if he just would rewrite the story and make Bear the hero of the story, and he refused to do it. And I think I'm so glad that he did because what he ended up making instead is far more interesting to see a man make a bad decision and then end up in a spiral of repeated bad decisions that lead to a horrible outcome. And I think Bear is like at first viewing, I didn't I didn't feel like it was that interesting for me to watch his character. I felt like the movie is pretty much told from his perspective, which is certainly a choice. When I thought like the more interesting bits were what was happening with Nikki. But then I realized that the reason why it does work in an understated way, especially the performance, is because he's the villain by the end of the movie, or of course, there's various points he's the villain. But at no point do you like sense it in an outright way
Right.
because he's not like maliciously evil. But he is evil. He's still a horrible
He's
person.
just selfish.
Yeah, he's just extremely selfish. And I think one of the scenes that I thought, when I looked at it and I was like, wow, like that was like make or break was when I think he drives back, he's driving Nikki back home, and then she walks out and he was meant to like, she's they're like kind of like flirt talking a bit. There's this bit of tension.
Right.
And then she just outright asks him, like, "Do you like me?" And he plays it off like, "No, we're just friends." Like, he doesn't have the courage to say in that moment
Yeah.
what he actually feels because I
Been
think that was
there.
I just think like personally, I just think like life is made up of moments like this. And I just feel like that was a moment where she leaned in on him because I think she sensed it too. And perhaps even despite what we know later in the film about what she said about him to her friend or whatever, I do believe that in that moment, she really likes him. There's a sign that she does like him in a way. And I think she wouldn't ask that question if she didn't have any feelings for him as well. So the
Right.
fact that he just chickened up and decided to like basically not say anything and like just downplay the moment was actually a huge defining moment for the character because like yeah, he ends up making that wish from that toy he buys from the gift shop, and then it just like goes off the rails, doesn't it? Like, she's not even in the house and she just freezes. Like, it's so
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah. It's so like on edge. So in both of these films, I was on edge, but for different reasons. On
Mm,
in Obsession, I was wondering what Nikki's going to do next.
yeah. Yeah, definitely. There were
So,
so many moments where I was just like anticipating a jump scare.
and then that goddamn that party scene. Oh, to cut the
Oh,
tension with the knife. Oh,
brutal.
yeah.
Brutal.
So his buddy invites him to
Ian.
like Ian, yeah, to like a boys' night, quote unquote. And because how infatuated Nikki is with him because of the wish, she can't compel herself not to. And then like she's gonna like hurt herself or kill herself. So he's like, "Oh, I got to bring her with." So he brings her with to the party, and she is so like inside his lap like the whole time. And that they're playing this like truth or dare like type of Jenga thing.
Yeah.
And then like they like have to move seats, and she's upset with that. And then he pulls a Jenga piece that says "kiss the person to your left," and it's this other girl, and she gets so like crazy about it. She pulls out her chair and sits down right next to her.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's her friend Sarah who also likes Bear, but it's a fucked up scene for sure. And then not just that is also when she recites that weird Hansel and Gretel
Yeah.
poetry. I mean, it
And then
was
she's
just
like
like,
saying it's a joke. And everyone's like,
yeah.
what the
I mean,
fuck?
I think what's crazy about it is like even before that scene, because I by that point in the relationship, she's pretty far much gone.
Right.
Whatever demonic entity that's controlling her is basically taking full control of Nikki. But
Mhm.
even before that, you see like when they first hook up, there's a moment where like they're getting in bed, and then she just screams, and that's
Right.
like a flash of the real Nikki coming out and being like, "What the fuck is going
Be-
on?" But like,
because she's being, sexually assaulted.
yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's horrible what
Mhm.
happens, and it's like this guy is also scared,
Right.
but he's also selfish enough not to really like
Do anything
do
about it.
anything about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
So
just rolls with it.
he's not a real man. No, he's has shown time and time again that he doesn't have the cojones. He doesn't have the balls, the big man balls to, just fucking go for it. See, unfortunately, he's so like passive that he lets things happen to him, and because of the wish, it happens to her.
Yes. And you know what I find really striking about this character Bear is like he's so ignorant. The only time like you see him see the cracks of like something's fucked up is like firstly when they start dating and they're like together and they become really close or whatever. You don't really you start to notice like their friends certainly feel like something's off about
Right.
Nikki because it's like just goes
Well, their entire relationship is predicated on a lie because she said her dad had cancer and he was like trying to console her. And then
yeah,
they like look at his buddy.
look
I
into
can't,
it.
he looks into it and he's like, he's fine. He doesn't have cancer. I don't know why she lied about her estranged father.
Yeah. Yeah, but obviously it was like, that scene in the diner is great though. It's in the trailers where she just goes like, no, no, no. And it was like such yeah, it was like,
She's
I don't
making
know,
a
how do
scene
you
in the diner.
it's such a fucked up scene. But like there were moments in the house where like her character just like gets out of bed, goes into a corner,
Yep.
like
Just
slow
wants to
walks.
watch him sleep, be creepy.
Oh,
And then
so
there's like
creepy.
this scene where a little bit later in the film where she waits for him when he goes to work, and then she just like
Oh,
pisses herself on the floor, and then like
yeah.
he gets back and she's all wet. She's like way too wet. Like she like puked on
Yeah.
herself, and she just looks like a mess. And she didn't move from that spot.
No, no, it's horrible. It's horrible to watch that because it literally is torture. That's what it
Yeah,
is. And I mean, despite like her character is pretty much insane and doesn't have any control over what is happening to her, and she's doing all these crazy batshit things. One of which I'm sure really upset you. And I think we should talk about it because before that scene is like when he has to go to work, and while he's at work talking to his other friend Sarah, he's having lunch and he's eating a sandwich.
yep,
And I don't know, did you feel like something off was gonna happen here, or were you like taken
yeah,
aback by the
yeah.
whole?
The notes that she left in the her his lunch were a
Yeah,
little off kilter. So you're wondering, okay, what did she do to the food? What did she do
because
to the food?
yeah,
And then you find out and you're like, oh, that's reprehensible. She fed his dead cat to him. And that's like
yeah.
the
I
most
mean,
like insane, like bonkers shit. Like even like
oh,
a mental patient wouldn't do that.
like just when you thought like when she made a shrine out of his dead cat's
Right.
body in the kitchen wasn't like weird and like
Right.
awful enough.
She like
You
dug
get
up
this thing,
the cat. She's like, oh my God.
yeah. And then you see this scene of like the fur and the meat, and you're like, oh my god, like that's
Yeah. Yeah, I would probably puke right there. Yeah. Oh yeah. So obviously, I don't want to ever eat another human being, but like a cat, that's too far.
It is too far. I mean,
Yeah,
that is insane.
dog,
Uh,
sure. I don't care. I don't like dogs.
damn. All right. I
No,
I can't say the same. I still think I don't think domesticated pets are
no,
okay to be
They're not. No, that's their family.
and yeah, and I mean it's insane. That scene is insane. And it's crazy like at this point like he just like
I
what?
think
He
that would be a deal breaker. We're breaking up. That's yeah.
But what do you think he could do in that situation? Like do you think he could have just like I don't know,
Well, anything
ran
he does
away or
do, she's gonna keep chasing him forever.
yep, yep. It could just be like an endless chase,
Yeah, just when he
like
gets
no matter
told to kill
where.
himself, like that is your only choice.
Right? Like that is pretty much the only option he has. I think that scene when he calls
The
he dials the customer service.
helpline. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that reminded
And
me of the Substance when
oh
they call
yeah,
the
yeah, you're right.
helpline. Yeah, yeah.
You're right.
You're like,
The
you're
AI
fucked.
voice.
You didn't read the fine print, did you?
Except in this film the person on the other side of the call is the director himself.
Okay,
Uh which is pretty cool.
that's
But
funny.
I thought the most terrifying thing about that is there's two terrifying things about that. One is that he doesn't ask to cancel the wish. He just says, "Oh, can I just alter it where she like doesn't love me so obsessively?" Which is fucking insane. The fact
Right.
that he even says that is like that just shows that he still wants her under
Yeah.
his control. And the other terrifying thing about this is when you hear the real Nikki scream on the end of the call,
Mhm.
that sent chills down my spine.
Mm.
I mean, I thought that was like, yeah, it's pretty, it was pretty scary. And I think every moment he was in the car, the poster of the film is literally him inside a car, and there's a shadow of Nikki outside the window. So at every moment he was in the car, right, I was anticipating a jump scare. I was like, okay, I know she's gonna pop up. She's gonna pop up at some point. But I had no fucking clue that it would happen in that scene
Yep.
where he
Yeah, that was a
finally
hard scene to
manages to
watch.
when he finally manages to sneak out from bed, out of the demonic Nikki who's on the possessed Nikki.
Mhm.
And there's a moment when he is sneaking off, you hear the real Nikki cry and
Like, kill me.
literally beg him to kill her. Like she just wants to be freed. And I thought that was really like one of the most like upsetting moments in the whole film is
Mhm.
moments like that. And I think the film could have even used more moments like that to emphasize the tragedy of it all.
Mhm.
But yeah, he does sort of sneak out and he goes meets up with this other friend.
What could have even made it even better is like one of their friends sees Nikki when she breaks character.
Well, when's that?
Well, so she only breaks around Bear, but if she like broke
Yeah.
around one of her friends, like that could even like enter like a whole realm where like one of the friends is trying to help Nikki.
Yeah, yeah, it could. That could have been
Yeah,
that's
but
true.
I don't write scripts, so it's good
No, for
reason.
the most part, I think for the most part, it's like well written. I think a lot of it is performance. A lot of it is what
Yeah,
is like
and a
happening
lot
to
of like
Nikki.
the lighting and the nice use of
Yes,
shadows. Yeah.
I think that's where the film is really smart with its budget because those are things that you can actually play with. You know, with the
Right.
lighting, like you mentioned, the shadows, the use of like there's a shot of her walking backwards, things where you speed up a shot, slow down a shot. I think there's scenes where you see her face and it just looks really off. And I
Yeah.
read that they had like basically they had like prosthetics on her and they
Okay.
had to light her face in a dark way where you couldn't tell, but you could see that it clearly didn't look like her. So there's some cool, clever uses of practical effects and camera shots that I think the film does. I also like I also like the score. I thought the score
Mhm.
was decent enough for the most part because another thing about these sort of horror movies that you normally don't expect the score to be. You expect the score to be kind of cheesy.
Right. You hear the strings. That's about it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You hear the cheesy horror strings, or you hear
Yeah.
the. But I
Which,
thought like,
once upon a time they were legendary and amazing, but now they're in every horror film.
yeah, it's overused
Yep.
to the bone. But I like that they didn't do that, and fucking hell, like that scene where she's talking to where Bear is talking to his friend Sarah
Yep.
about like getting into art school or something. Like, did you see that coming? Did you see that death
No,
coming?
no. Well, once he sat in the car with her, yes, I did see that part coming, but I didn't think
Yeah,
she was gonna be bludgeoned to death.
no. And what's interesting about that scene is they shot that scene from both points of view. Like, the
Uh-huh.
camera moves from like the window where Bear's on the left side, and then on the window from the right side where Sarah sat. So you're constantly thinking, where could she appear from? But I feel like what's like fucked up about it is like the conversation gets really wholesome and they kind
Right.
of have a sweet moment and they talk about like, they kind of acknowledge like, oh, like, we could have like been a thing,
Right.
like we should have kissed.
Yeah, he would have
uh
got his goth baddie, but he had to make a shit wish.
yeah, and that's the moment where Nikki just fucking breaks through the window
Yep.
with a brick on the steering wheel and then just bashes
Yep.
Sarah's skull. I read that they had to cut down
Yeah,
the
because
amount of
NC
times.
17. Yep.
Yeah, it was too
6 to
brutal. It was
7 bashes.
yeah. I mean, it's
Yeah,
a pretty
and once you get
evil
NC 17, you can't be shown in theaters. So, yeah, that makes sense.
I think there's a lot of restrictions. You
Yeah.
can be, but it would be hard to be able to like get away with, teenagers watching the film accompanied with an adult or whatever. But, I think that just goes to show like the director clearly wasn't intending to pull any punches with his vision, and that's such an evil. The shot, I thought, like in the end when you see her face bashed in and just an eyeball, I just thought that was such a
Yeah, no, it looked great.
disturbing. This is disturbing, such a disturbing evil shot.
Yeah. Oh,
And
it's
then
even
like,
more evil when he discovers her mutilated corpse and
oh
sees Nikki wearing Sarah's dress and the scalp.
yeah, that is so fucked up on
Yep.
so many levels.
Yep.
The fact that she does that and then you see her
Not
corpse there.
the only scalping in our double feature.
No, which is an interesting parallel for
Yep.
sure. Uh, we'll get to that other one too. But
Yep.
with this one, I thought like this is the point in the movie where it goes beyond like, so far it was like just concerning Bear and Nikki and no
All
one
right.
else is affected. But now it gets to a point where, oh shit, like a third person has died. This shit is way out of control. And I think he's losing it as well.
Yeah.
And he's trying to cover it up and be an accomplice in the whole thing. And I think that's when he that's when he decides to go and buy
Wish Willow.
another one of them wish willows and, make a wish
And
to
then the
make it go
salesman even
away.
tells him to kill himself.
No, what I found interesting about this whole thing is like the salesman literally says, "Oh, you know, I'm fine. I got my wish," which I think, which I think implies that if you're just a little bit clever about what you wish for,
Right.
you could actually get away with getting what you desire without
Right.
it
With
ruining your life.
no. So, Adi, you got a wish ready?
Well, last time I did, you said it doesn't qualify. I still stand
Yeah,
by the
you want a
same wish.
million
I
wishes?
wanna I
Okay.
want a billion infinite wishes, not even
Infinite
billion,
wishes.
infinite
Okay.
wishes.
All right. So I still would wish for immortality. and I know it immediately backfire, but it's something I've just always wanted.
I don't know. I don't like the idea of being immortal. I think
Right.
what's funny about it is like we've seen so many examples of it though. Like there's been so many things, so many stories that have explored that idea of immortality. And I guess it's cool. It has its cool stuff. Like I mean, look at Wolverine for example. He's kind of
Right.
immortal. He's not fully
Like
immortal, but he's
it's
still
eternal suffering. That's the only drawback.
yeah. That's the only drawback. Is that you're gonna have to accept that
All right. I'm
you
okay with
can't
that.
really you can't really grow close to anyone because
You'll
you're gonna lose
outlive
people.
all of your loved ones. You'll watch them all die and grow old.
Maybe you'll just become so cynical that
Yeah.
you just lose the will to live.
Well,
You just still
the podcast
forced
will
to
keep going.
live. No, but in this case, I mean, yeah, I love that whole scene when
Yeah.
he's trying to he's being a bit of a maniac in the store, but in the end, he
Well,
does go to his
he
friend.
goes as yeah, buddy, and I called that wish so fast. I was like, he's gonna wish for money. There's no way he's not gonna wish for money. He's a fucking
That was
idiot.
such a I didn't see that coming. I got to be honest. I didn't see him
billion
wishing for
bucks
$1 billion. But it was so funny to see like money just fall off the
from
sky.
the sky. Yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah. In
yeah,
the monkey's
I thought it
paw
was
type of wish, it would have been like he would have stole it from a bank or something, and it would have put him in jail.
yeah, it's something that would have had like implications to it. But in this case, and that's when that reveal is made, right? That apparently Ian and Nikki were hooking up, and I
Yeah,
believe that Nikki saw Bear as like a little brother or something. She
yeah,
basically friend zone.
really hard.
Um,
Which is
so
at the beginning of the movie, that's why I could relate to him the most. You know, how many times did I get in that conversation where the woman's saying, "Hey, I know you like me," and that's when I would say, "Yes, I do like you because I'm not a fucking pussy." But and obviously that relationship wouldn't last long, or it would end really fast.
hmm, yeah, in this case, he gets what he wants, but
At what
like the
cost?
movie is yeah, exactly. I mean, that's but that's what I want to say about the film is like the whole be careful what you wish for. That is not novel by any means. Like that doesn't like I
Yeah,
understand like
it's
that's what
pretty
makes
straightforward.
it's pretty straightforward. Like that's what allows the story to build and happen. But I still think that that's for me that's not the strong part about the movie. The strong aspects of the movie is the performance, is the
Mhm.
choices of these characters, especially Bear's character, what he does repeatedly, wrong things, and of course seeing Nikki and seeing Indy Navarrette's performance. I think those were the things that really carried it, but also the direction and the fact that it was made on this budget and it was done in a way that didn't feel like a low budget film by any means. But the ending was, I mean, at that point, I think does he buy another one? I'm pretty sure he buys another One Wish Willow, doesn't he?
And yeah, it
Once
doesn't.
his mate,
Yeah, he's gonna give it to Nikki and have her do a wish.
yeah. But when he, by the time he goes back, she's like basically turned into Sarah, which
Yep.
is fucked up, isn't it?
Hmm.
And I mean,
And then
it's
his
quite a
friend
third
gets
act.
his brains blown out because she gets a hand of that gun that he's gonna like kill himself with.
Yeah, because like the only way now is to reverse his wish is to get someone else to wish
Break it.
that
Yep.
it to break it, and he tries to do that with Nikki, but she's obviously never gonna do that. She's
Right.
never gonna wish that, and that's when Ian walks in, and then she just like basically
Blows
shoots him.
right in the face.
Yeah, pretty fucked up death again, and then you got Sarah's corpse lying in the living room, and you got
Yep.
Ian walking in dying, and at that point is like there's no point of return really, like that's where you kind of like what do you even do at that point? He decides, he goes into the toilet and he decides to OD on some oxycodone. And
go the same way as Cat did.
but you see that when he does do it, he does try to, gag. He changes his mind.
Right. Yeah.
He
Yep.
tries to throw up.
And that's why
Just
you
as
should never make that attempt, because you'll have second thoughts.
But it was just as when Nikki breaks the last one wish willow, and under the wish's influence, like Bear emerges from the bathroom and kisses Nikki before dying from an overdose. Pretty fucked up death. And the death basically ends the wish, and it leaves the real Nikki to return in her body, but she's absolutely shell shocked
Yep.
in blood in a sea of bodies.
She's got to explain a bunch of money, and she's
Oh my
probably going to
god.
have therapy for the rest of her life.
I was just thinking, like, it's such a brutal ending for her because there's no way you can explain
Nope.
to the authorities what just happened. And you're probably going to be jailed,
Oh,
even if you
yeah.
do.
Yeah. No, she's getting,
Um,
first degree for sure.
yeah, I mean, like, it's one, like, the mental aspect is one thing, is like she's gone insane. But yeah, the repercussions of, like, the murders and all the bodies and the blood is just, and all the evidence, because let's face it, people have, like, they've seen her unhinged behavior in public. So yeah, it's quite an ending. I mean, what were your thoughts on the ending? Does it land for you? Because I know, like, horror movies and endings don't always land, but
They don't. They
often
don't.
how did.
I thought it was all right. I'm happy that they didn't do a rewrite and that Bear didn't, get to live with her for the rest of their lives. I'm happy we didn't get a happy ending, because a lot of the time in horror films, when you get a happy ending, it just kind of feels like it comes out of nowhere. And, I always like the suffering ending.
Yeah.
Because it really leaves like a final sting.
It does. And I think those are the movies that always have the larger impact, is the ones that leave a sting. And I definitely walked out of that movie with with a very sour taste in my mouth. I
All
mean,
right.
because you sit through that and
Yeah, I went home and went, darling, that's our relationship turned up to 11.
so what was your I'm assuming you watched it with your girlfriend. What did she think?
No, 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 I went
No?
by myself.
Okay. You went by
No,
yourself. All right.
she wanted to, but she had a lot of baking to do.
Okay, probably for the best, right? Because I don't
Right.
think
Oh,
this
yeah.
is a good date movie by any means.
It's not. I think this is a sit down at home and watch it at your leisure type of film, and then you can pause and you can talk about it and go, "Hey, this is what a relationship looks like when it's not right."
Yeah, yeah,
This
absolutely.
is
I
not
mean,
something you would compare your in real life relationship to. It would
oh
just
no, I
upset you.
mean,
Yeah.
I think there's patterns of abusive relationships
Yeah.
in this film. Obviously, this is fictionalized and
Right.
heightened and
Right.
exaggerated to an extreme level, but you can see at various points how abusive and how toxic it gets. And
Yeah.
I'm sure there's, like, patterns or whatever that people who may have been in could have recognized, and that goes to show that the film works in many other levels as well. Some of the milestones and records, I mean, already made over 300 million. That's
Unheard
400
of. Yeah.
times 400 times its budget, right? I think it premiered in Toronto International Film Festival like a year ago. It was like one of the it was acquired by Focus Features for like 15 million. Like, they wanted to distribute this movie globally. I think the director also wanted global distribution, which made sense. But the other record that it really shattered, which is kind of unheard of for many years, is like it was the first film since E.T., which was directed by Spielberg, to grow in weeks 2 and 3.
Ah.
Obsession pulled off a rare box office feat, not seen since the 1982 E.T., the extraterrestrial movie, by earning more money in both its second and third theatrical weekends than it did in its opening weekend.
Mm.
It also had the best fourth weekend haul for a horror movie. It its ticket sales only dropped an astonishingly low 7%, and it grossed $25 million, breaking the 27-year-old genre record previously held by The Blair Witch Project, which dropped 9% in 1999. It's also the cheapest film to top the box office in 17 years, when its explosive word of mouth pushed it to number one spot during its first full week. It became the lowest budgeted movie to lead the box office charts since 2009. And of course, we've discussed it's already one of the most profitable movies ever made, and it sits in an elite under 1 million budget
You ready
club.
for the cynical take?
Yeah, go on. What's the cynical take?
The cynical take. So now a bunch of other studios are going to try to do this, try to replicate this, but they're not going to have like the creative idea. They're not going to have, like people that actually want to make brand new things and not make the fifth sequel in a series that's been dead for 20 years. Like it's not going to be because you know how Hollywood rolls. You're going to have a bunch of Shudder films that are going to show up in the goddamn theater, and they're going to have the most generic names you've ever heard of, and they're like, "Come on, Obsession did it. We can do it too."
So there's going to be what I like to call the waterfall effect, which is you see the ripples trickle down in an ever flowing way. I think like it's perfectly reasonable. There's pros and cons to it. There might be a snowball effect. I think best case scenario is you see more filmmakers get a chance. It's
Yeah,
kind of similar to like what happened in the 70s, right? Because like the 70s in American indie cinema was a period where you had like all these great masters of cinemas who were like young filmmakers go out and shoot guerrilla filmmaking, and they made some of the decade defining films. But then obviously the other one is what you mentioned is like, they Hollywood might try to be sneaky with its budget, might try to like, it's one of them ones where instead of you getting a quality indie movie, you might get a bunch of like the market might get saturated with a bunch of like low budget films that are trying basically to do the same thing, which is, hit the jackpot with like a mini micro budget
it's
scale.
it's it's gambling.
Um,
It's what it is,
it's gambling. I mean, but the risk factor is a lot lower for bigger studios,
because they can
especially.
just suck up the cost.
Well, it really depends, but I think the thing with YouTube is like this trend or this movement of seeing filmmakers who've put their films on YouTube and or who've come from like sketch comedy backgrounds and then transitioned into horror movie directors.
Krieger.
That's not a new thing. That's not a new thing. Yeah, exactly. Zach Krieger. There's been other films. I think the guy who made Smile.
Yep.
There's been other directors that have done
Jordan
this.
Peele. Yep.
John Peele's is obviously an extraordinary example, but like, this is not a new thing by any means. Like this has been happening for some time now. We've seen the leap from YouTube to theatrical. So I think like in this case, it's unique because both these movies, including the next one that we talk about, I think they are a bit exceptional than the
Mhm.
others. And that's what makes both of them compelling in their own ways. But, in terms of like Obsession, I think the fact that I don't think anyone expected it to be this big of a hit. The director certainly didn't. This film absolutely blew Mandalorian and the Grogu out of the water, which which made me very happy to see that.
All right. It's
I
not
don't know how you
Andor,
feel
so
about that.
fuck it.
I don't know how you feel about that, but
I'm kind of meh. Star Wars is so meh. It's kind of like if it beat a
first,
Marvel movie, I'd be like,
like,
cool.
no, but it was the first Star Wars movie in 7 years to hit the cinemas. I mean, that's got to be something, right? That shows like the trend is way
All right.
long gone. The trend is long changed, and people are craving original films and something. They want quality, and that's like it shows because the viral word of mouth. It's not normal for a movie. It's very normal for a movie to drop 30 to 60% in the second weekend of its box office run. That's considered normal. It's abnormal for it to like outdo what it did in the previous weekend. And that's what makes this film kind of like stand out is like it just shows that if a movie's actually good, the word of mouth will be good and it will show its legs down the line. But yeah, do you want to give it a rating
Sure.
or like what do you think?
Yeah, I got a tiny little thing I wrote, but yep. Like I said before, Obsession is pretty straightforward film. It's the monkey's paw. Unfortunately, it was a little predictable at points, but it is what you get. The sound design and the practical effects are great. Nice use of shadows, nice blood effects and all that. Like it didn't look cheap by any means, even though it was a very, very cheap. I'll give this one a 7 out of 10.
I agree. I also would like to give it a 7 out of 10. And I agree with all the points you made, but I'll particularly praise Indy Navarrette's performance that I think carries this film. I think it's an iconic performance that will be talked about for many years. I might even say that I might arguably say it's better than Amy Madigan in Weapons. Will it win? Will she win the Oscar for it? Probably not. But
Probably won't even get
that's the way.
nominated.
Exactly. It'll probably not even get
Well, that's what
nominated.
happens to horror. They don't care about horror. Silence of the Lambs, like
Um.
the last horror film.
Well, the last year was pretty good for horror. I mean, Weapons and
Yeah,
Sinners did
right.
well, but you want to see. I think what this movie is exceptional is it shows why the horror the horror movie genre remains the meanest and the best vehicle for success because it's so easy to do because
Right.
it resonates with so many people. Like people want to watch horror movies. That's never gonna go. And when you do it right, you can really get it right. And I think this is a prime example of like, trusting the voice. The directors really made some great choices with the budget he has to work with. The performance like really carries the movie. Those two aspects are the strongest thing about it. I'm sure like, it's I don't want to call it a masterpiece because there's still like you mentioned, there's still flaws, but they're not bad flaws.
Yeah,
They're not
they
like
don't make the movie like unwatchable. Like, would I watch this a second time? Sure. Yeah, when it hits streaming, I'll definitely check it out again.
yeah, no, it's certainly way creepy, way scarier than Backrooms for me. Way more disturbing rather.
Okay.
But
Well, yeah, yeah.
end of the day, I mean, what the movie's achieved speaks for itself. I don't think any rating's gonna outdo that. So that's definitely it's certainly going to be one of the year's best films.
Hmm.
But let's move on to the other movie that also we're really excited to talk about. And this is even crazier for this movie to exist. This movie, Backrooms, directed by Kane Parsons, a YouTuber. I believe he started off making like Attack on Titan animations using like Blender or
Cool.
something. Like he was kind of making YouTube videos. He was kind of into visual effects. And there was this 4chan post that came out back in 2016, I believe. It was a it was a creepy pasta post of liminal space,
Mm.
which was these yellow rooms, and it had this thread in 4chan that featured a still single image of an empty yellow room, and it read, "If you're not careful and you no clip out of reality in the wrong areas, you'll end up in the back rooms where nothing but stink of old moist carpet, the madness of mono yellow, the endless background noise of fluorescent lights at maximum humbuzz, and approximately 600 million square miles of randomly segmented empty rooms to be trapped in. God save you if you hear something wandering nearby, because it sure as hell has heard you." So this was the inspiration behind this movie, that this teenager back then came across this thread on 4chan with
Mhm.
this still single image, and he decided to make entire web series on YouTube about it. And he made like these 24 videos, I believe, about the backrooms using Blender, which is an open source software where you can like make 3D modelings. And he made like a series of videos, like found footage style, of,
Mhm.
you know, someone exploring the backrooms and coming across like all the liminal horror. And that's how it like he kind of went viral for it. I think in 20 when he was like 17, A24 approached him for for the idea for it to be a feature film, having seen these web series. I've only watched the original video, and I must say I was quite impressed by this original video. It's on YouTube under Kane Parsons' channel, and this guy is like, what a talented guy. I mean, he's just turned 21, and I think he was offered the idea to make it into a film by A24. And I think he directed it when he was 18 or 19, and now the movie's out. So let me give you an introduction on the film before we go into opening thoughts.
Sure.
So this movie centers around Chiwetel Ejiofor's Clark, a failed architect and furniture store owner, and his therapist, Dr. Mary Klein, played by Renata Reinswa. Clark has this chip on his shoulder from his dashed professional aspirations of being an architect, and his marriage is in shambles. After his wife leaves him, he starts to live in his furniture store called Captain Clark's Ottoman Empire. Pretty funny name for a funny furniture store. Mary, on the other hand, is helping Clark with his issues, but she herself is traumatized by her past with the institutionalization of her agoraphobic mother, as well as the demolition of her childhood home. So one night, Clark notices a glowing slit in the wall in the sublevel of his store, and he discovers that he can phase through a section of the wall into the backrooms, which is this endless labyrinth of liminal spaces characterized by this dull yellow fluorescent lighting and increasingly bizarre configurations of real-world architecture and objects. And he quickly becomes obsessed with the backrooms, and he enlists his employees, Bobby and Kat, to help him navigate and investigate the spaces even further. And this being a horror movie, there are obviously scary things looking within the backrooms, and before they're revealed, it cuts to the POV to Mary, who comes to the store after receiving a cryptic voicemail from Clark. And then she's pulled into the back rooms, and that's when the climax of the movie happens. But that's
Mhm.
the rough synopsis. What did you think of the you know
So it takes it takes a little bit to get its hooks into you. Like when Clark finds out about the backrooms, that's when I start to get hooked. And it's very, very slow before that. But it does set up some nice stuff that get paid off later. A lot of like the found footage like aspect of it really helps create that like spooky atmosphere. It is definitely creepypasta coded, just like its original creepypasta. A creepypasta is like a horror like post you'd see on 4chan, and it'd be posted on r/x, their paranormal board. And that's where you get a lot of stuff like the SCP Foundation, which that's what this reminded me a lot of. Where so SCP stands for Serve, Control, Protect. And it's like a wiki based collaborative fiction project that got launched in 2008, where like it's a bunch of people like post of things they found out in the wild. Like it's like the FBI like reporting this, and it's a bunch of journals made by this organization that track these anomalies, and then like a lot of like the posts would have redacted so it looks really official, and it's like creepypasta like Slender Man. That's where this all this stuff comes from. And it definitely, yeah, it has a lot of that like coding in it, and a lot of like the color in this film really makes you feel that.
yeah, there's something about this film visually, I think aesthetically, that just stands out. It got me really captivated. And as a kid, I remember being in spaces like this Like I've seen abandoned, office rooms or
Right.
like hallways in a old hotel, and it certainly gives that eerie vibe to it. And I really like that, you know, this film is inspired by something that's come out of the internet that, you know, resonates strongly with Gen Z, and of course like it's got to do with like things we it's got to do with the parasocial relationship we have with the internet and the things we like to explore. And it's so cool for this film to exist. But I gotta say, like, the opening of the film, I really enjoyed the way the film opens with that found footage scene, with that employee or researcher who gets lost, and you're just seeing it through his point of view the whole time, and it's like VHS tape like aesthetic, and then you just see like he's going through these rooms, and there's something like weird about this place. Like it's got its quirks and stuff. Like there's some funny things on around the place. There's some weird objects, and then you just sense that he's being chased, and then you see that dead seagull, and you see that bird, the seagull that keeps coming in. That scared, like, gave me a jump scare. But it really starts off in this very captivating way where you have like no clue who this guy is and why he's lost in here. All you know, he's not from not he's been like he's been lost from his group, and he's trying
Mhm.
to find his way back. And the next thing you know is like something is lurking around and ends up chasing him. And that's when the movie then cuts to the main protagonist of the film. But I really enjoyed that opening. It was like I don't know. I just think it was such a strong way to start a film. I don't know if you felt that way.
Well, yeah, I like that, but it's like the starting of the stuff with Clark. It just kind of felt like it was just like,
Yeah, I mean, he
like
is kind of a
it's like a little slow.
he's kind of a I don't know, like he's kind of a flat character. When I say flat, I mean like once you see his flaws, you just know that that's who he is.
Right?
He's kind of
He's
an alcoholic.
kind of set in his ways.
Yeah, he's got a chip on his shoulder because I think he believes that he was wrongly done in life. His wife, it's implied his wife leaves him. He's got like an abusive relationship, perhaps. With he's definitely an alcoholic, and he's
Right.
seeking therapy from this other character, Dr. Mary. And I think there's a scene where you see the psychodrama where they do this role play, and you kind of really see him break through, and you just see how fucked his state is. Like
Right.
he's still not like mentally there yet when it comes to like coming to terms with how shitty his life is. But then I found I found those scenes to be a bit of a drag. I
Yeah.
felt like those were the scenes that the film it doesn't feel like this is the filmmaker's choice. It kind of feels like this is the studio's choice, if you get what I
Mhm.
mean. Like, oh,
Okay.
we gotta have this
We got
like
to set this up. Yeah, I don't
yeah,
think they
we
needed to
gotta
set it up at all. In
no,
fact,
no.
I'm happy they didn't set up more because, like, so there's a whole like mystery with the back rooms. I was so happy I didn't get like some dialogue, like some confrontation with organization, and then they explain everything. I was so happy we didn't get that, and that would have like ruined the movie for me.
Yeah, yeah. It would have completely derailed all the good work the movie does
Exactly.
in the
Just being a
first.
little creepy and eerie and going around doors and all
Like
that.
that's where the movie shines, is the
Yeah.
creepiness of exploring the atmosphere of its spaces, and the fact that I don't know, it's such a reflection, it's such a mirror for whoever's in there and their psyche.
Right.
And when it comes to those scenes that you mentioned, what I did find interesting was when you get to see his life in the furniture showroom that he owns, and it's completely empty. When I say empty, as in there's no customers, I think he has two employees,
Yep.
and clearly he's not doing well. Like he's not making any money. He's sleeping in his store. I mean, I thought that was. I thought that was quite like funny, like the fact that it just shows you how fucked up his situation is, and you got those two employees who are like, you
Never
know,
saw
they're
a customer come into the store. It's
yeah,
amazing
and there
they're
was
still
a
open.
yeah, it's such a massive store. I thought the bit where they shoot the commercial, where he tries to like get them to shoot the commercial. I thought there was some really good foreshadowing when he's putting on that outfit,
Outfit. Yep.
and then he is. I think the chair breaks and he falls. And they get that on tape, obviously. But that's his furniture store. He's trying to like make an ad. He's trying to like drive up the business, but you clearly see like he's not doing well. Therapy isn't really helping, and there's some anomalies happening with like the circuit switches in the basement. Like the switches don't really work, or there's some
Right.
sort of like
They're kind of not completely lined up. It looks like the electrician kind of like hobbled it together.
yeah. I mean, you see, there's something off about like the place, which he doesn't realize until that moment, which is very interesting. That is the moment that it starts to happen, or this place, this concept of this, you know, extra dimensional space just shows up.
And good on
And
him to tape a door line out. I would have been so annoyed if he was like feeling up the wall like the whole movie trying to get out.
so I wanna get into it. Like the first instance he sees the yellow slit on the wall and he walks in, I was just thinking to myself, get the fuck out of there.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
if you wander in somewhere and you just like, first of all,
Oh,
you
it
walk
makes
through
you
a wall.
wonder if another movie they would have did the barbarian thing and just he would have comically like started measuring it out.
I do want to bring up Barbarian because there's bits about this movie that
Okay.
reminded me of Barbarian. But it's funny. I would love to see Justin Long's character in this film. Like he would just be like
Start measuring square
measuring the whole
footage.
thing. Could you imagine if
It
he
goes on
owned
forever.
all right,
I
all
would
right,
make so much
all right.
money.
Whoever's listening, Zach Krieger, Kane Parsons, if you're listening, make a sequel where Justin Long's character discovering the backrooms in
Oh
one of
yeah.
his properties, and he's just trying to go and scale it to see how much more money he can make. Another
I'd
box
watch
office.
2 hours of him measuring.
So that's like when he walks in the first time and he comes across like these
Piled
stacks of
furniture.
furniture. Just
Yeah.
this, yeah, this pile of furniture is just so weirdly assembled, and he's just walking around and he's like going through a room, and these rooms are they're a labyrinth. They're just so weird, and he just keeps going straight in. And at that point, I was like, dude, like obviously you're gonna get lost. Like, what are you doing? Like, I thought the first instance he went in there, I thought he was done. I thought he was never gonna get back. I was really surprised he made it out. I don't know what you thought.
Yeah. No, I would be too, but you know, he's an architect. He knows how to map out a layout.
I mean, the first time he gets in there, it's like he goes through like these rooms, and he goes through like he finds this cardboard cutout of a character speaking like welcome
Multiple
greetings
different.
from the Voyager. Yeah,
Yep.
it's from the Voyager that
Okay.
we sent out many years ago. It's the probe that still is out in space.
We come in peace
Um,
in multiple different languages.
yeah, greetings. And I don't know, I just found the whole concept so cool. Like there's like the way that the rooms are mapped out, like the weird ceilings, weird doorways that make no sense. There's a
Chairs that are halfway out of the ground.
exactly like chairs like that, and then there's like I don't know, it's so intricately done. Like it's just fascinating. Like I loved the production design in this film.
Mhm.
I read that they actually modeled the set in Blender, and then they constructed a 30,000 square feet set
Okay.
where obviously the crew members occasionally got lost in. And I just thought like, wow, like what an experience it must have been to be able to actually build this practical set and shoot in it. I just thought it was
So
incredible.
lucky there wasn't a story of somebody dying in it.
No, no, I'm sure there's like a lot of sure there's a lot of protocols in place, but
Right.
like
You got to bring a string with you so you don't get lost.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You gotta bring some tape and that's what
Some
he
rope.
does when he but when he does go in there, he does hear something. He does sense that there's something in there. And I was really like curious to know what is in there. Like was that first experience when he walks in, like was that when you were at the edge of your seat or
Oh
was that
yeah. Oh
more
yeah. Oh yeah.
after?
Yeah. No, so in my theater there might have been like 10 people and there were some girls to my right and I was like, I hope you don't talk. But the whole time I was on the edge of my seat that whole time. So like I was saying earlier, I was on the edge of my seat in Obsession because I was wondering what the girl was going to do next. In the back rooms, I was wondering what are they going to find in the back rooms? That's what
Yeah.
I was on the edge of my seat. I was waiting for, the Baba Yaga to pop out of nowhere and grab him. I was just waiting for the monster to come chasing him,
Yeah.
and then he'd have to
And you'd have to what?
he would have to like panic run to try to get to the exit.
Which is what's crazy about it is that he actually manages to get out. I didn't see that coming. I thought he was gonna get trapped. I thought
Right.
he was gonna probably
Run into a
I don't
dead
know.
end and get chopped up. But then you see the runtime
But
of the
not
movie, you're like, okay.
not chopped up. I did sense that there would be something more to it. It wouldn't be that straightforward. But I didn't expect him to go so deep in and then figure a way out. And I was just thinking, if I ended up in a place like that and if I could get out, yeah, there's no way anyone's gonna believe me.
Right.
And I think like
And they didn't
that
when he got out and he tried to talk to his therapist about it. He said,
oh yeah, she doesn't believe him. She
Imagine
thinks he's
describing a dog to someone who's never seen one before and then asking them to draw it. It will look similar, but the devil is in the details.
yes. Yes, that is the quote. And I think that really is a great quote because it
Yeah.
really does describe it attempts to describe what the backrooms is. And what I like about it is the mystery, the atmosphere. But the more you got into the movie, the more you realize that certain things are there for a reason.
Mhm.
And the backrooms has this sort of ability to like almost mirror your reality. And I thought that was really fascinating.
Mhm.
But the best bit for me, I think the first half of the movie, when he's in the backrooms, was amazing.
Mhm.
Especially when he convinces two of his coworkers,
Just the fucking idiots.
sorry,
I'll
employees,
pay
of
you
course.
overtime. Brings
The
a
two
camera in
hippies.
there. Oh my god. Oh yeah,
I
climb down
loved it.
there.
I
Oh.
love that. I just wanted to see more of that.
The
I just wanted to
second
see
he
more.
got his employees to go down there, I'm like, they're dead.
But it
Just
was it was so cool though
yeah.
to see.
Go down
Um
that slide. Oh my god. You
oh, when he
couldn't pay
went
me a
down that
million
slide,
bucks. Couldn't pay me $1 million.
I was like, what are you thinking doing that? And then I just love the way they shot that whole thing. It was like it had one of the best scare sequences. And I think the scary part about that scene is when he goes down there, when they're exploring, when they go in, Clark is just like, he just he seems completely normal. It's like he
No
knows this
fear.
place. He has no fear, exactly, except he wants to explore it more and he wants to use them and he wants to record it. And then
Right.
he
Well,
finds
he
this
wants proof, is
he
really what
wants
it
proof
is.
because obviously his therapist thinks he's insane or
Right.
on
He
edge
has
because he's
delusions of grandeur.
yeah, or because he's off alcohol or whatever.
Yeah.
But that scene where they find that slide down there and he makes the man, I think his character's name
The
is
cameraman. Yep.
the cameraman. Yeah, I think Bobby. He makes the dude go down there. And I thought the scary part about that was when he goes down there, you see like a pile of all this like dirty laundry everywhere, and you see like a head pop out of the laundry pile,
Yep.
and it's not even a real head; it's just a cutout. It's the same. It's the same cutout with the greetings, but it's
Mhm.
so eerie when you look at it.
Mhm.
I love that shit. Like this is like what I like about horror movies is like when they creep you out
Right.
atmospherically
When
and
they,
do
like,
things like this.
uncanny valley you,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
get that,
This is
like,
like
you get that, like, saliva build up in your mouth, and then you get, like, that sink in your
oh
stomach. It's the
yeah.
best.
And then he gets chased, he gets pulled down in there, and they're just like, and it's all shot in this camcorder, right? Because it's like all shaky and like I loved it. I love the way they managed to like show naturally how the camera falls and
Mhm.
how they're scrambling, and I think that's a significant moment in the film because
Mhm.
once the dude gets devoured or whatever, the girl's just like lost her shit. She's
Right.
fucking trying to find her, chase after him, and he's just like the main protagonist is just like trying to like get his bearings together. And yeah, like at that point you were like, yes, this is when the movie's gonna like kick into overdrive, and you're gonna see finally they're gonna reveal what this thing is. But it gets even more creepier, doesn't it? At that moment, what creeped you out in that sequence?
Just that slide. It was oh, it's just so just, like, eerie, like, you have, like, no way to get back up, you're trapped.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, once he went down that slide, I was like, "You're so fucked." And then I was like, once they got separated, I'm like, "Well, now she's completely fucked because he's the only way she's gonna get out." And then he goes, like, to a pool, and he can, like, hear her on the other side of the wall, but he can't see her. I'm like, "Oh,
yeah,
she's dead."
yeah. Like she's begging him to open the door, and he's
Right.
like, "What
What
door?" Like he can
door?
only see a wall. Like he can't see a door. And I think the bit where they go into that Christmas room, the Christmas
Yep.
tree
That's
playing,
creepy.
was so creepy, man. Like I love that shit. It was
Mhm.
like watching that on the big screen was
Yeah.
certainly an
Yeah. Yeah,
experience.
definitely Backrooms is definitely the movie you go to the theater for. Obsession, you could probably watch that at home.
Yeah, when it comes to the aesthetic and when it comes to the choices visually, I think Kane Parsons is the most superior director
Hmm.
for sure. I think Obsession has stronger moments with performances, arguably. But when it comes
Definitely.
to like atmospheric horror and the visual tone and all the world building in this film is like it's incredible. Like you can
Maybe
tell.
they should work together on a film. It'd be the, best of both worlds.
Wow, it's hard to imagine. It's hard to imagine co-directors like that because like
All right.
directors usually have they
Single
usually have a
vision.
very
Yeah.
single vision, and it's hard to see that collaboration. Few co-directions like that exist even today. Like
Mhm.
even the Coen brothers split up, even the fucking Safdie brothers split up. So it's hard at some point to do that,
Mhm.
let alone. But it's just nice to see like young is this guy is like just turned 21. Like it's
All right.
insane to think
He's a babe.
to get $10 million to make your dream project into a film. And apparently I read he was heavily inspired by the Portal games, which is cool because I remember those games. And
Yep.
they're like
Aperture Science.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like he used that as an inspiration for the
Yeah,
aesthetic of the
I could
film.
definitely see that.
I think he even expressed interest to make a movie on
Hey,
the games.
you make anything with Portal, I'll watch it because it'll definitely be interesting.
It would be, it would be. So at this point, right? This is the point of the movie. Once you see that cut where Kat gets abducted as well, and
Mhm.
Clark is, I think, knocked out. That's when the movie kind of cuts and it switches point of view to the other character, which is Dr. Mary, played by Renata Reinswa. And this is the bit that reminded me of Barbarian, because Barbarian does a similar thing. When you see the first half of the movie,
Right.
you're really like creeped out by the home. You're really curious to know what the fuck is going on. You don't see the entity, and then you see the main character, which is the woman, get like caught or something, but it cuts before it reveals whether she made it out or not. And it then switches point of view to Justin Long's character. So
Driving.
Yeah, yeah. Which I still remember watching that scene, and I'm thinking, this is like one of the most crazy tone shifts I've seen
Yeah.
in a horror movie. Like to go that in, go from that intense of a scene, and then just to cut to something like as random as
Like it's a
convenient as that.
completely different movie.
Yeah, yeah. It's like you flip through the channels or something while watching, and you flip through and you go to a different channel and you're watching a different movie.
Mhm.
But yeah, this is the point where it goes to Dr. Mary's character, who herself, I think there's clues that she's also got a traumatic like background.
Yep. Like
Like
your
her
mom has
mother was,
Munchausen syndrome. You can't go outside.
yeah, yeah, agoraphobic. And I think she's also traumatized by like the demolition of her childhood home.
Yeah. She
And you
keeps
see how
a
she's,
piece of it with her at all times.
yeah, yeah, there's some implications about that heavily affecting her. And you see it's interesting why she's a therapist of all professions.
Right.
But you do see how alienated she is even when she's in a party or there's a gathering happening and you can clearly see she's like checked out. But yeah, I found it interesting that she decides to go explore and look after her patient instead of
Yep.
just like being like, "Oh, fuck it," like just call the
Well, most
authorities.
therapists wouldn't go to their residents or their work and try to talk to them.
No, no. But
It's
I think
usually a money motive.
usually could that's what it's. I don't know. I don't know what the motive is. I can't tell.
Mhm.
But it certainly made me wonder. But what's interesting is like when she gets to the door, and I think there's hints that there's a lot of time that may have passed, like maybe a week, a few
Right.
weeks, because you
Yeah,
see like,
because his overdue notices for all his bills.
yeah, yeah, you see all that, and of course the whole place is like completely empty and
And I was surprised it was unlocked.
derelict. Yeah, yeah, I'm surprised as well. Like, it almost like
And that
derelict
like
in a way.
squatters aren't living in there.
Yeah,
I don't know,
yeah.
maybe it was a nice part of town in the 90s.
I don't know, but it does have a very early, like late '90s, early
Yep.
2000
That's
vibe
when
to it.
it takes place in a time before I was born.
Yeah, it certainly feels that way. But when she does venture down, I don't know how she even ends up there. Might be pure luck or coincidence, but then she
Well,
just,
because Clark told her about it and she didn't believe him and she can't find him and then she finds like all this like writing and a door drawn out on the
yeah,
wall
a
and
map, a map, because he
yep,
does show up to her and show
the map.
her a map of the place that he
Mhm.
drew, but I think she found him to be kind of cuckoo. So,
Right.
but what's interesting is like there's a fly that goes through. That's how she like realizes it. And
Yep.
apparently, I was reading a trivia that the fly was real. Like apparently, when they were shooting that, there was a fly that appeared out of nowhere that would refuse to leave. So they just decided to
Fuck
incorporate
it.
that.
Just use it.
I don't know.
Well,
I don't know how.
at least that, gives the movie better logic of why she would go in there.
Yeah, I suppose it does, but it's like one of those things about like improvising or happy accidents happening while you're making movies. But yeah, she ends up in there. I didn't expect Clark to still be alive.
Yeah, I didn't
All in
either.
one piece. All in
Right.
one piece.
Yeah.
But when she ventures in, obviously the room is changed a bit. It's not
Yep.
exactly the same as what it was when Clark first entered in. And then you see, I don't know, you see like this, she finds this drawing of like a captain, like that's his alter ego who
Yep.
he dresses up as for that ad, and that's when you hear like you hear the entity again, like whatever it is, and then Clark shows up, but he's all in one piece, like there's nothing wrong with him. I
Right.
was like,
Well,
oh shit, is
nothing
this
you
good?
can
Are we
see.
gonna? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was like, shit, are we gonna have a Shining moment? Because this kind of reminded me of like the Shining.
Mhm.
You know, when Jack Nicholson's character gets into the hotel and then goes
Oh,
insane, and then you see that he's yeah basically controlled by the entities in the hotel. And you kind of see a similar, like, you kind of get a similar creepy vibe with this character as well. You kind of feel like he's being almost mind controlled.
Right.
And that's where the movie kind of shows you that he's not. That actually, he's just like,
No, he
he
just
is
lost his
psychotic.
goddamn mind.
Yeah.
When he ties her up. Oh my god, this scene was insane.
Oh. So I think he gags her, right? He
Yeah.
strangles her. He
Yeah.
strangles her, knocks her out unconscious.
Yeah.
At that point, you're dreading like the worst. What's gonna
Right.
happen? She
Like
wakes up
I just
and
got off Obsession. Anything could happen.
she wakes up in the chair dining table.
Yeah.
And then you see those creepy figures. Like, what do you think of them?
They looked great. The
Did
guy
they?
with the multiple eyes, it makes you sick looking at him. It's just so uncanny valley that you can't look at him.
Almost looks AI, doesn't it? Almost looks like a fucked up AI
Yeah, it's Blender
generation.
for sure.
Yeah, yeah, like that, and then the woman near the lamppost,
Yeah, with the red hair, which is important.
which is very important because there's clues about that,
Yeah.
and also that mini character, the
Yep.
dwarf like character sat on a chair
Mhm.
with a
Lamp.
lamp light. Really creepy, eerie character designs. They don't speak; they're mute.
Yep. The best part is you can eat them.
Oh, when he did that, they don't feel any pain. Like he stabs one
Yeah,
of
he
them.
stabs him in the neck with a knife.
Yeah, they don't feel whatever it is that doesn't feel any pain.
Yeah.
And then he like rips off like parts of their body and like
All right.
puts it on
Well,
a
he
plate.
rips off her scalp, as I was saying, as there's a scalp,
Yeah,
and puts it on her head so she can redo the role play that they did earlier in the movie,
yeah, the
where he
psychodrama.
where she's playing his wife that left him, but she's
Yeah.
tied up and she doesn't want to do this. It's gross. It's fucked up.
Oh yeah, but she has to go with it anyways, right? Because she has
Right.
no choice.
Right.
But
And she
this
doesn't have a
time,
choice.
it's almost like the first time. The whole point of it is it's got this like really. I think for him, he feels kind of like it's almost humiliation because he's forced to
Relive.
play the play the bad guy, and in this case, because he holds this power in this situation, he wants her to make him feel vindicated, almost like as if he is, he's in the right and he's not the one at fault, even though you clearly know that he is, because otherwise he wouldn't be in this situation in the first place.
Right.
And yeah, it was such a clever reversal of that first opening scene. And I think the part where the real entity walks in and you see that
Fucking
fucking thing
pirate.
is just, yeah, it's just I love that. I love the
Yeah.
character design. It was so funny but weird
Right.
and fucked up.
And off-putting.
Yeah, like completely uncanny valley. But what's interesting is like when the pirate walks in, you see the woman who got scalped like just fucking bolt and scream like,
Right.
and I think there's implications that woman
Was
is
his
meant to
ex-wife.
yeah, is meant to
Mhm.
represent his ex-wife, and I think it's meant to imply that he was abusive towards her
Okay.
because she
Why would she
doesn't
run?
exactly she doesn't react to human Clark, but when pirate Clark comes in,
Right. Because
she
that's the
goes crazy.
manifestation of, his bad qualities.
Reality. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's his fractured psyche that's manifested, or a mirror, or the backrooms' ability as I don't know. It's almost like omnipresent source that can replicate people and use them as a source to create these rooms,
Mhm.
and use their realities as a source to create these rooms, which makes you curious about who those other characters were.
Right.
But yeah, that point of the movie, I think that's where it really like gets into the horror movie mode, and like the whole. What
She
do you
thought
think?
she got out, but she didn't. Getting chased through that fake replica of the store. That was pretty great. And then you have that Voyager thing in the middle.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
pretty great. Yeah, and then before that, you get like quotes where like Clark's like, "I don't want to change," and then Mary's like, "Then don't." And then he's like, I like it in here. For the first time for a long time, I feel like I'm right where I'm supposed to be. That's how you know he's definitely
He's
lost his
gone.
mind.
He's gone. And I love the scene when she's like, I can't fucking help you.
Yep. How do I stop? Honestly, I have no fucking idea.
I just looked at that scene and I was like, I'm sure that's how most therapists feel about their
Right.
clients.
I don't know how to fix you. Well, most therapists also have trauma and stuff that they have had to get through to get to a point where they could have that conversation.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, they're just
Uh,
people.
yeah, they're just people trying to do their jobs, and yeah, it's kind of crazy because like the pirate rips off the human Clark, bites him in the head. I think.
Just
I don't know
crashes
if I
into him.
think he's dead. Do you think he's
Yeah,
dead?
definitely.
He's probably dead, isn't he? And
He's
then yeah,
definitely
it
dead.
ensues. It ensues in this crazy scene where while he's trying to calm the pirate, but it just suddenly bites him to death and then chases Mary through a succession of chaotic and surreal spaces.
Mhm.
I love this. I love the chase scene. I know it's pretty like standard for horror films to have this, the
Mhm.
chase in the end. But the fact that it's happening in this unique space
Right.
and all the
Where you
rooms that she had to
can't
go
even
through.
imagine what the next room is going to look like.
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of got this escape room vibe to it.
Yeah.
Pretty cool as a concept. I think that's where it leans into its strengths of using
Mhm.
horror. Like I think the first half does better to like
Yeah.
establish the atmosphere and the world building. In the second half, you see more of the thrills behind it.
Mhm.
So I like that chase, even though some of it might be cliche. Like how many times we've seen a character who's been chased suddenly stumble
Right.
and
The
fuck up
final
their leg.
girl.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
fuck up their leg, and
Right.
then they have to like still run away.
Hobble all the way out. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Like
A
the
million
hallmarks are
times.
there.
Yeah.
The hallmarks are there. There's some cool scenes like that. There's some cool
Yeah.
references like that bit when Pirate Clark bit Human Clark off.
Yep.
That kind of reminded me of a painting called Saturn Devouring His Son, which is literally a painting of a
Yeah. I'm
uh
familiar.
I think you must have seen that. You must have heard of it. It's
Yeah.
a very famous. You must have seen it. It's a very famous painting. But yeah, it's a very gruesome painting of the man literally devouring his own son, biting him in the neck. So I thought there were some really cool references in there, which
Yeah.
some people may not catch.
Yeah. I really enjoyed the transitions.
Where?
The transitions in between scenes. So like when they went all the way from the top all the way to the down in like Mary's like past live, like I really liked the
Yeah,
scene
yeah,
transitions. Like it's like a dolly effect.
yeah,
I really enjoyed that. And some of
yeah.
the transitions in this film are like some of my favorite transitions in like cinema in a long time.
Oh, is
Like
it?
some of the Saw ones where it's like
Yeah,
you fall through a window and you're in the next scene. Like I love that. It's like seamless.
yeah, yeah. And it helps that you have like such a amazing production design and like
Yeah.
the practical sets, right? Like imagine, I was just thinking like how much fun it must have been for the actors and the crew to be in those spaces and
Mhm.
actually shoot it. Because unlike usually what you would expect is like, oh, like CGI or whatever, green
Yep.
screen. But the fact that you actually build these sets and play around with them, I think that's such a fun like it just brings so much credibility to the story and like makes it feel more real. And I enjoyed that chase. It was
Mhm.
really funny. It was like I love the bit where she runs all over the place through those rooms and through the through those stairs, and then she ends up at what she thinks is the entrance of the
Yep.
store, but it's
Nope.
not. It's just a replica. And that's where he like, trips and breaks his leg when she like uses that stick to hit
Break it.
him.
Yep.
Yeah, and that calls back to the
To
the
the
opening scene
commercial.
when
Yeah.
he's like commercial, exactly. So yeah, I wanted to mention that the script is pretty clever. Like
Mm.
there's certain things like that which the film does, which I love, that it implies, it shows, it doesn't tell. And I think that's always been the strong suit of great storytelling. is you show and you don't tell. It's the most simple way
Right.
to tell a story. And I think
Pretend your audience is smart enough to figure it out. If you have to explain it, you fucked up.
no, but that's why I wanted to talk about these filmmakers because both of them, especially the Obsession director Curry Barker, said that s- you'd be surprised by how smart your audience is.
Mhm.
And he was talking about like the comment section on YouTube and going through the comment section on YouTube and seeing how people are able to come up with like such amazing interpretations or they're able to analyze something, and that just shows that the audience, they can do it, you know.
Mhm.
I think we inherently have that curiosity to know what is happening in a way where we don't need to be told or spoon fed like some other
Right.
films do. And I think that that's what I think he said about, he made a point about like how it's really great to be able to make something where it becomes part of like, it becomes everyone's property in a way because everyone can then lean into it
Right. And they
and bring
can
something
take
of their own.
exactly. Yeah, and not every movie needs to be a movie that you're on playing on your phone. They need
No.
to, be something you can actually explore and come up with your own ideas and have a conversation after the film if you watch with somebody else and see, what do you think? Do you think so and so survived? What do you think happened after? And we don't necessarily need to have those answers. And that's something that I really appreciate in this film. So when they get to the ending, like, they don't explain shit. I love that.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that. What did you think of the ending when finally, she
Oh, I
manages
don't.
to.
So she goes to the men in the suits, in the yellow suits, and she gets captured basically by an organization. And I don't think she's getting out of that organization either alive. She's either going to get killed or she's not escaping. She'll probably be just another anomaly, another entity that's been changed by the backrooms. Like I don't think she's getting out.
So this bit got me really curious. First of all, the movie literally opens with found footage and then shows a screen where someone is watching. So it does early on imply that there are other people involved or perhaps monitoring the backrooms.
Yep, it's the
Um,
SCP Foundation. I know they have a different name, but that's what I like to think.
yeah, the organization in the film is called Async. Those are the guys with the hazmat suits, a group of researchers. They take the monster Clark, who's subdued, and they take Mary to their research facility. And that's where you come across that character called Phil, played by Mark Duplass, and he explains, what async is. But again, he's not really telling Mary anything about the
No.
backrooms,
Nope, he's
which I
asking her
like.
questions.
Yeah, yeah. Which I like that because I think what would have ruined it for me, like you pointed out earlier, is if
It's
they just like,
exposition dump. That would piss me off.
yeah, like if they said, oh yeah, like this is like
You know,
the, I don't
I might be dumb, but you don't need to explain it to me.
know. But well, I mean, what did you think of that interrogation? What did you think besides you feeling like she's not gonna get out?
Yeah.
Like, what do you think these guys are like gonna help
Oh,
her?
no, I think they're a bunch of eggheads. So just like the Portal universe, it's a bunch of eggheads that are too wrapped up in their own science to actually do like anything humane. So in Portal, they have like all these like gels and stuff, and they just throw them on people that they pay to be their test experiments. And some of them live, some of them die. Most of them die. I think that's what it is. It's more of a they would probably just send people in there. They pay money and don't expect them to live, and then just take whatever their scientific study and knowledge that they learn from that, and then put it into the next study.
That's really interesting.
Hmm.
I feel like the lore is definitely there and established, and it really got me curious about this company because obviously they've been around a lot longer than the time in which this film is set. So, I mean, what happens is that once they do have that conversation, which doesn't really reveal much besides what I think async do.
Right.
But you do know that they're like researching how they still have access to this side of the back rooms, or how they're able to like monitor everything is still a mystery. The fact that, he replies and he says, "Oh yeah, it's not up to me whether you can go or not." But what's scary about it is like the back rooms are kind of like a black hole, which is just
Mm.
like ever growing. Because the more you go spend time in there, the more you lose track of time and
Mhm.
track of your own life. Because what it does is it just consumes what it gets, and it starts fabricating a reality based on your memories or your life. And, it's kind of creepy, the thought of this space, this extra dimensional space that just keeps growing and growing to the point where, reality might just be lost. So
Mhm.
that's what really creeped me out about the ending, is that thought. And also, I think one of the final shots is you see the room, you see the rooms again, and you see Mary's memories and trauma in the room,
Yep.
because you see like a still a version of Mary that's fucked up with those eyes,
Yep.
a puppet or whatever you'd like to call it, is in the back room, and that's like how it ends. So, like, I love how that it establishes this world as something that's not limited to its characters. And, tomorrow, say, I don't know if there'll be a sequel or whatever,
Or a
but
TV series or something. Who knows?
I think,
It'll
I
probably
think
be a
the,
couple years.
I think the director did, I think the director did mention that he was interested in developing the Backrooms into a TV series. I think that would be amazing. I would watch it. I think
Yeah,
he has the
it'd be
material for
interesting.
it. I think he made like 24 videos, and they're all videos like based on Async's POV,
Yep.
researches in the back room. So I think there's definitely potential. But yeah, should we go into final thoughts? You want to
Sure.
wrap?
So, Backrooms is a pretty enjoyable film. It puts you on edge and it treats you like an adult. Oh, with the story, it doesn't show it or tell. It lets you try to figure it out yourself. And it doesn't over explain anything, and it doesn't abruptly end out of nowhere. I'm going to give this one a 9 out of 10. I really enjoyed this one.
Well said, and I completely agree with that rating as well. I want to bring up a quote that you shared to me a while ago actually. It was a quote that was by Tony Gilroy, who we love, who made
Mm-hmm.
one of the greatest
Andor.
shows ever, Andor. And he wrote, a lot of times when you're working on IP storytelling, your impulse is to open the toy box and start playing with all the toys. You should try to resist that. And what you should do is leave more toys in the box than they were when you got there, and resist the impulse to be a child, and instead think more like a storyteller who's adding to the world rather than taking from it. The reason why I reference this is because I was reading an interview by the director Kane Parsons, and he said, "I have a 70-page document." He said, "I don't like drowning people in lore and mythology. I think it's an irresponsible creative choice. Like, it happens a ton online when an independent artist goes to the spotlight, so to speak, for a little bit, where they make a single indie gem, like a beta testing of a game or something. And then there's all this traction. And then YouTube channels begin picking up art and covering it as through its finalized creative item with a deep hidden lore and stuff. And then it leans way too hard into the lore aspect. And you just get this weird bloat where it becomes very alien to people who aren't avid fans of this thing and
Like
approaching it for the
Five
first
Nights at
time."
Freddy's.
Yeah, yeah. They're suddenly coming into it, and it's made inherently
Right.
for YouTube channel dissection.
Exactly.
So what he says is, and I sometimes make stuff with the desire to have people take a look at it and pick it apart, and that's part of the experience. But I think when it comes to this kind of thing, and especially trying to transfer it to a feature film, you can easily trip up and try to jam 5 years of information into a single 90-minute window. My thought process was, if we can avoid that pitfall and do this right, I think it raises our chances of opening the door to being able to continue this in a more well paced, well mannered way. I think that really, you know, the reason why I referenced that Gilroy quote is because I think this director understands that deep down, is that even though he has an impressive lore that he's built personally from this inspiration from this 4chan post, he decided to like, you know, make this film in a way where it doesn't fall, take it doesn't take that trap of like, you know, eating all your candies. Instead, it tries to establish a world that's interesting, that's creepy, and I think he does. I think it's such a well authored, well directed piece. Even though I must say, like, there's some moments that feel like they're a bit too like handheld with the conversations earlier.
Right.
But overall, like, I just enjoyed the whole experience. I also would give it a 9 out of 10, and yeah, I'm really excited to see like what what this director does in the future, and you know how much control he has. I think it's incredible. Very quickly, I just want to mention the records this movie made, because obviously I already mentioned Obsession. So Kane Parsons became the youngest director to helm the box office at just 20 years old. He had the biggest opening weekend for a first time featured director on an original film. Became A24's highest grossing movie, already crossed 262 million globally. Biggest opening weekend in A24 history, fastest film to cross 100 million for A24. And here's some genre milestones. Largest original horror movie debut in history. By opening to 81 million domestically, it achieved the highest domestic opening weekend for a horror movie not based on an existing cinematic sequel, remake, or traditional literary adaptation, and also the biggest R rated opening weekend of the year so far. Some incredible records. And again, to emphasize the point, original storytelling will always trump IP or sequels or whatever adaptations. And I hope this trend continues. I
Unless
hope it
it's
starts a
Saw.
movement.
I'm always going to see a Saw sequel, whether or not it's good.
You have a soft spot for Saw. That's
Yeah,
understandable.
it's my favorite movie. Well, my
Yeah.
favorite horror movie.
Yeah. But this has been a really enjoyable discussion. That wraps up our reviews, our double feature review of Obsession and Backrooms. You have anything else?
Nope, I'm going to go find a liminal space inside a wall and make a wish on a wish willow. See you, Space Cowboy.